Hi first graders, welcome to the Writing Cooking Show. Chef Clary here, excited to share with you today my recipe for cooking up detailed informational books. I can't wait for you to try the informational books that I have in store for you, complete with some really delicious ingredients. Let me get the recipe card out. Now let's see, I have one here this is for opinion writing. Nope, don't need that today. Oh, look at this recipe. Really good narrative writing. We're not writing stories today. Oh, I do like writing poems, but no poetry. Recipe card needed today. Here it is. This is the recipe card I was looking for. Detailed informational books. They teach so much. Let's see what's first on the informational book recipe card. First up, it says 2 scoops of twin sentences. Not a problem. I just bought the ingredients today. Here is my jar full of twin sentences. I need 2 scoops. Let's take a look and get these right away in our bowl. 2 scoops of twin sentences right here. Twin sentences come in sets of 2, just like the ingredients name suggests. Twin sentences. Here's an example that we can put in our bowl today. Dogs communicate. They growl. Most dogs growl when they are scared or in pain. The sentences most dogs growl and most dogs growl when they are scared or in pain, those are our twin sentences. They go together. See, twin sentences do the work of telling more information. They told more about why dogs growl, what exactly the growling is communicating. This will be perfect in our teaching book recipe for today. Let me get those 1, 2 scoops right away in our bowl, and we'll stir that up in just a moment. Let's take a look and see what else is on our recipe card for teaching books with lots of details. It says second on our recipe card is a big helping of examples. Lucky that I just brought home an entire jar of examples. Let's put some of those in our bowl today. First, take a look at what this giant helping of examples looks like. Give an example looks much like this. When you're talking about one thing, like toys, you can give examples of what those toys might be, from a doll to a ball to a game to a bike. Here's a written example for you. Dogs can learn tricks. For example, they can roll over, give a handshake, and fetch. In this case, you teach more by giving examples to your reader of what you're talking about. You don't just say they can learn tricks, but you provide information about what kind of tricks you're actually talking about, or what kind of toys you're talking about, or whatever the example lends itself to. This is a fantastic ingredient for adding details to an informational book. Let me put this in our bowl too. This is starting to smell really fantastic. I have a feeling we are going to have a really delicious informational book soon. Okay, third and finally, on our recipe card for really detailed informational books is a generous scoop of comparisons. I happen to have with me today a jar full of comparisons. Let me pull out a generous scoop of a comparison. A comparison is just like it sounds. A comparison creates a clear picture for your reader by comparing the information you're giving to something else the reader might know about. So for example, in my little picture here, you see that these are sharp teeth of a dinosaur or maybe even a shark. And that could be compared to maybe a knife. People know clearly how sharp a knife can be, and it helps them to visualize more or have a detail more in their mind of just how sharp those teeth could be. Here's another example. Different breeds of dogs have different talents. Greyhounds are fast. They are as fast as a car going 45 miles per hour. That comparison to a car helps people to understand just how fast a greyhound is. Because most likely your reader has had an opportunity to ride in a car or drive in a car. Now they are understanding your teaching so much more than they did if you were just to say that greyhounds are fast. Let me put in this fantastic detail and stir up our lovely, oh my goodness, it's a full bowl, our lovely teaching book, so that we can put it in the oven, pull it out, and see just how fabulous our teaching can be when we add comparisons, when we add examples, and when we add twins. While a recipe for a fantastic detailed teaching book is cooking, I thought what else to do while we're waiting but to practice adding details to our very own teaching books. If you remember last week, I started writing an informational or teaching book about yoga, a topic I feel I know a lot about. Today I'm going to add some ingredients to my teaching book to teach my reader. These ingredients will be important so that my reader can truly understand what I'm trying to teach. I'm going to add twin sentences, comparisons, and examples. I started last week by planning my writing, sketching it across 5 pages, and then adding a sentence to teach the information on each page. 5 different ideas that I taught about. Today, I want to make sure my teaching is clear for anyone who would want to learn, in my case, about yoga. And I'm going to really assume that I'm teaching people that have potentially never experienced yoga before. And you should assume the same about whatever you're teaching about as well, so that we know we're making sure no one is left out of our learning. I'm going to start by looking at this page right here. My heading was poses and stretching. And the sentence I wrote was, there are a lot of yoga poses. Now I need to tell people exactly what those yoga poses are. I know they're wondering, well, what are yoga poses? And when I reread my writing, I often ask myself those questions. What would the reader want to know? And by asking myself that, it really helps me to decide which detail, which ingredient would best fit my page. And in this case, I know people would want to know what yoga poses are there. And so I'm going to answer that question. And I think that I can answer it by saying, well, at least starting with one of the most important yoga poses, the downward dog. So one pose is the downward dog. Hey, this gives me an excellent opportunity to use the ingredient of a comparison. Right there in that name, dog, I know that that pose itself lends itself to a comparison because you're putting your feet and your hands on the floor in the position that a dog would be when they walk around on all fours. So I'll use that comparison to make that really visual for my reader. So my next sentence would say, it is like being a dog with your hands and feet on the floor. Now that, readers, I think will help, and authors, I think will help my readers to understand what that pose actually looks like. I've done some teaching about one of the most important poses in yoga. Let's take a look at another page. And again, I'm going to ask myself questions. What does the reader need to know? For example, this one right here. The heading is everyone. Anyone can do yoga. Well, the question that comes to my mind, and I think would come to a reader's mind, is, well, who? Who is anyone? Who can do yoga? And when I think about this page, I think about those ingredients, and I think this would be a perfect opportunity to add an example of just who can do yoga. So I might say, for example, women, men, and even kids take yoga classes. Now I think my reader understands more about just who I mean when I say anyone can do yoga, about that word anyone. Let's try one more time to add details, and then it will be your turn. I'm looking at this page right here. The heading is breath. Breath is important in yoga is what I wrote. This is a fantastic opportunity for me again to ask, what would the reader need to know about breath? And they probably are asking, what is important about breath? And I can tell you the most important thing about breath in yoga is that you need to be able to control your breath. So I'm going to write that. You must control your breathing. Now, readers, this gives me a fantastic opportunity to add a twin sentence to tell more about what it actually means to control breathing, to make sure that my reader has a clear picture and understanding of controlling breathing. So I think I'll say what that actually is because I know I'm the expert here. Controlling breathing means to inhale through your nose and to slowly exhale through your mouth. So I'm going to say that. And now I have a twin. I'm talking about the control. This means you must slowly inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Wow. I'll stop there, although I need to go back and add details to all of my pages. I can truly see that when I take the time to think about, first of all, what does my reader need to know more about? I just keep asking that question every time I reread a page. Reread and ask myself, what does the reader need to know to understand this page? And then I can jump into my ingredients. What ingredient would best fit? A twin sentence to teach more? A comparison to paint a clear picture? Or an example to tell readers exactly who, what we're referring to? We have fantastic tools at our hands for you to be able to work with this week. They include the ability to reread, to ask yourself, what does the reader need to know more about to understand what I'm trying to teach? And then third, ingredients that you get to choose from to put in your recipe to create your best detailed picture book. I am so excited to taste your writing. I can't wait to see what teaching books you come up with. One quick note. If you, for some reason, don't have your teaching book from last week to add on to, do not worry. You can start an entirely new teaching book using the template at the bottom of Seesaw. It's totally okay. And in fact, if you finish adding on to the book that you're doing, I suggest you start another book. The more practice, the better. So don't worry if you have to teach about something new. But if you have your teaching book and would just like to add the details like I did today, that's fantastic too. Till next week, readers, I hear my timer going off. It's time for me to open my oven, take out that delicious teaching book, and read it for myself. Have a fantastic week.